we're here since we got rudely
booted out.
You know, seriously, I know that there are people that may agree with him because you have your reasons, but it is clear that this person definitely has problems with anger management. Every other word is the F-bomb. Has got this like really chip on their shoulder, and there's a lot of anger. And if you watch the initial interview that we did with him, there's a lot of telltale signs. And he obviously...
He doesn't like being analyzed.
He doesn't. And that's
Remember
what I
he said he felt that?
Yeah, and that's what I do.
And you're right, Mars. We
were, because that's what I do. I'm a therapist, well-versed in mental health. And I see a lot of anger issues. What my wife, and go ahead, you were sitting there before he booted us out.
Well, what I was encouraging him to do was to face his family as he should, and let them know about his transition status. When you basically share a Benjamin Boyce video of your head, you know, talking to another head, that's not the same thing as being in front of someone in person saying, hey mom, hey dad, hey cousins, hey grandma, this is me. This is the person that I am now.
He's running me. He's running away.
He is not confronting what he needs to confront. And so what does he do? He can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
So he cuts us out.
Yeah.
Not before telling us we're delusional again, and using the F-bomb, as you saw on the video if you watched.
Yeah, and the actual, if he doesn't take it down, this is the link. Oops, let me get the actual... I gotta get the actual link, so I can put it up here, but bear with me.
But I do want to really, really thank Smartass for being so cordial, professional, very kind, very respectful, and I have nothing but good things to say about
you got my
guy.
respect.
He really went over and above.
Yeah.
And you know, when you have 3 Latin people that have hot attitudes and stuff, I mean, it is hard, you know.
But he did a great job.
He did a great job as being a moderator, and you've got my total respect. Total respect.
But you know, when you are faced with an individual that kind of reminds me of what I used to do, because I was...
He doesn't like that.
Oh, he doesn't like that.
He doesn't like the comparison.
He doesn't like that. And you know, it's like I was dealing with stuff and angry, just like he mentioned. If you guys watched the initial interview, he mentioned that he started all this out of anger. And when you do something based out of anger, it never ends well. It never does. And he still has a lot of anger. He still has not resolved his own identity. If you can't confront your own family with who you are, and you have to do it via a video, that tells you something. And I believe, and I think you believe the same thing, that is why he is so into this whole biology and calling people delusional. Because let's go back, like when you and I first started, and you have the accent, and you thought that you weren't going to be transition, it made you question.
It was very difficult. I mean, I thought that my road to transitioning was gonna, you know, I thought I was gonna be a paraplegic.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, how is my transition gonna happen here? You know, and not only that, I thought, am I even gonna survive?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I'm gonna live through this.
Exactly. And so that made you question, you know, your whole concept.
Of course.
And then when you question that, and I think that also started, that whole question started when I was with Jessica too, because here I was as a guy married to a cis female, you know, nothing of that ever really, I had like put everything in a Pandora's box, all my childhood traumas, religiosity and all that, I hidden it very well, okay? And I had that cocky attitude.
You said that you hadn't even seen your pictures of pre-transition for like 12 years. You were like, you know, you didn't go sit around and go through them with Violet, did you?
No.
You
Not
didn't
at
go
all.
through them with Jessica, did you?
Violet didn't even know
Okay.
Maritza.
Yeah.
You know?
Violet didn't even know Maritza.
Yeah.
Brianna says coming to terms with family takes time. And yes, it does take time. But see, the thing is that Mars makes it sound like he's already taken the time and that he's already done it. He's already gotten the approval and that we're just projecting. And it wasn't the case. It wasn't the case.
But when you're sure of yourself, and I could only go by me, and I know not everybody's the same, but when I was going to do this back in 2003, I know it was going to be so hard, but I had to face the music. And I knew what I was going to get. I knew I wasn't going to get approval. I knew that I was going to get pushback. I knew that I had to be truthful. And that's one of the things that we as transgender individuals have to do is be truthful, deal with the issues, transition, and then lead our life. What I see Mars doing, and there's a slew. I mean, I'm gonna go from the beginning and share all these screenshots, which is what got this war of war started in the first place, because it was like I felt totally offended by what he was saying and what he was doing. And I questioned him. I challenged him. And although he claims he likes to be challenged, he doesn't. I mean, you guys saw it. He does not do well with challenges. The F-bomb, he gets all, even his co-host was saying, no, wait a minute, Mars, you did say this. And you do, and it's like, anyway. So this was the initial. And it was very offensive. It becomes irrelevant in our everyday lives. But trans women are trans women. Trans men are trans men is more accurate. So here's this guy who hasn't even been transitioned for a year. He's
defining trans men and trans women into these categories that don't include anything other than what he wants to define as being.
And he goes, we are different. That's not our goal, is to be different. Our goal is to be the same as the sex we are transitioning to. The need to use the term cis is unnecessary if we're always refer to ourselves as trans women and trans men, but we won't because feelings. Right there, he's making fun of the trans community, as rap femmes do. What do rap femmes use all the time?
It's all about feels
and feelings, right? So that is very extremely offensive. So I responded to him. I personally did not transition to just be trans anything. Once you are done and comfortable with self, you can lose a trans label.
This took me a long time to register and caused me problems. I am a man. You can be trans if you like.
Right. And then I went ahead and I showed him a picture.
People see a man, and that is what I am. I lost the trans label when I gained my power and self-respect.
So then he writes, that's why I said it becomes irrelevant. But the actuality is that you're a trans man like I am. If you aren't, why do you take HRT? That's all I'm saying. And again, he's always trying to be this sarcastic, trying to whatever. And I said to him, regular men and women take HRT as well. As I said, you want to identify as a trans and are all about your girl biology. That's on you. I'm a man through and through.
Yeah. And then he says men take HRT for many reasons.
I said that.
Right. Yeah. That's what Mark said. I take HRT for my health due to my progestin-induced sterilization. You're dead set on telling people who they are. Worry about you and your ordeal.
And then he writes, feel free to come on my show and discuss this, but I'm over this constant debate you want to have on Twitter. I don't agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm not going to shut up about any of it. Let's see here.
So find a way to block me if you want to, or deal with it, he said.
And he's very pungent. He has no social skills.
Very cold, very inhospitable.
No social skill whatsoever. I mean, people like him get in trouble with the law because they're confrontational. You come up with that attitude
Tell a cop that.
Or a cis guy at a bar, you're going to end up, pretty hurt, dude. As far as telling people who they are, no, I don't tell people who they are. When the topic is biological sex, though, I'm not going to lie. You can lie and live illusion. Peace. So right there, he's calling me delusional. He
calls you as living in a delusion.
Yeah.
This is the things that we do when we transition to the gender, sex, whatever you want to call it, that we identify with, that we belong to. is not a delusion.
No.
It's our reality. And if you think that we're delusional for thinking that, that's on you.
You know?
That's not on us. Our reality is how we see it. And that is what we see as being our reality. Or I wouldn't have gotten top surgery, and you wouldn't have gotten
everything that I did. Done. Yeah, everything I did.
It's a real, like, what's crazier to say, oh, I'm a man, and I want to have top surgery to remove the breasts that were placed on me, but I still identify being a biological female.
Right.
What does that serve?
Nothing.
When one does
nothing,
that?
And it actually causes a lot of trauma, confusion. And for those that are thinking about transitioning, I mean, what kind of hope is there if you're like, you're going to go do all this stuff, but you'll never be a real man?
You're like a go-between.
You're pretend.
Like you're in
going
limbo.
to pretend. You're going to dress up and but pretend. Okay? That just doesn't lead to anything. So he writes, I'm a trans man. I've every right to define what a trans man is, knowing what the entails as I live the experience. Yeah, less than a year.
Less than a year.
And yes, trans men are trans men. Anyhow, I'm done here. He's like,
and it's a joke. LOL.
Yeah,
he says.
Yeah. Everything is a joke to him.
Snickering, laughing,
yeah,
making fun of people,
F-bombing, real good social skills. So
and I simply asked him, do you care more about trans issues or women's issues?
Because
he did not answer the question.
Because he's a rad femme at heart,
yeah.
You don't get to define others. You're nothing like me and will never be. And then he says,
I'm actually happy being the kind of man that I am currently, but thanks for the comedy.
Everything is funny.
It's a joke.
He doesn't take anything serious. That's on you. And if you think your talks are comical, then so be it. Trans lives are not funny, and we transition to be normal, not some trans anything.
And there's people that were, his little peanut gallery. And,
yeah.
We had one person, that Melissa Manchester, come in and start speaking crap about us.
Oh, I know. Yeah, because he's got his little clues.
Wherever there are Mark and Lynna haters,
yeah,
that's where, you're going to find those people,
Yeah. So he just goes on and on and on and on. You're never done. It's a lifelong commitment, and one we shouldn't lie to the youth about. It's not a lifelong commitment.
And it's not lying to the youth.
I mean, it's like, I transitioned in 2003. I mean, it's not like I'm some sort of sports car that have to go in every 6 months. Everybody goes to the doctor to get a checkup.
I think
there's nothing special, other than, okay, you're checking, you have hormones, you want to check for your levels, but no different than a bio man who has to be on HRT and has to check his liver value and things of that nature. No different.
But I think it'd be great if people did transition earlier.
Of course.
Because then they wouldn't run into those secondary sex characteristics. They wouldn't run into the socialization that they have to deal with, and the deprogramming that they have to deprogram themselves with if they transition later. And they don't have to deal with any past relationships that they may have, been involved in because they prolonged their transition. So I would say that it would be a good thing for someone to transition earlier than sooner.
Exactly.
And no one's lying to the youth. I mean, if the youth feel that they belong where they belong, then who are we to tell them otherwise?
Exactly. Anyways, exactly. Does anyone care to explain, I guess when somebody wrote, wait a minute, before all this trans stuff began, because it's pretty recent, how did kids survive without hormones and puberty blockers? So he's like at no HB 1057. So he's going for some sort of bill that's going to take away the rights
of transition.
Yeah.
So there's like 5 or 6 bills.
Yeah.
So Mars is actually in support of ripping away rights for trans children to get their types of treatments.
Exactly.
How is this not a rad femme ideology?
Totally. And then he goes, it's not just Republicans that feel this way, and because we care about female sports that we choose to protect it.
Yes, the woman
in him chooses to protect it. Yes.
And Mars has a way of categorizing and picking and choosing who gets to transition sooner and who gets to transition later. In the interview we did with him, he specifically stated that if he had a son, he would encourage the son to transition earlier, possibly, but he said he still doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And his daughter, he would encourage her or not let her transition till after she was an adult, after she had boobs,
Yeah.
basically.
And then he goes, if you're going to transition, what you don't want to do is replace one problem with another. Exactly. Well, it seems like he's kind of like giving himself his own advice, because he has, in my professional opinion, there's a lot of anger.
And you are
issues.
a medical professional.
Yes, a lot of anger issues going on there that he really needs to look after. Okay, totally. So I said, and how exactly do people do that? Everything, it seems, in life is a replacement. Food, alcohol, identity. They all are based on a coping mechanism for survival at one point till we heal and resolve. We should never tell another what not to do. I learned that lesson. And everything I read on his Twitter account is him either making fun of people or telling people that they're delusional. You know, why are you special? Because I'm trans. Also, why are people mean to you? Because I'm trans equals transgender community. And I said, pointing out a problem without a solution seems unproductive. Many in the said trans community have had to deal with lots of trauma. Beating up on them emotionally helps. How? I'm only saying this because, you know, I used to do this before myself and very ashamed of what I did.
You know, and Mars basically admitted that he started the Twitter war, but he didn't want to continue talking about it. He didn't want to say, well, okay, it's my fault. I started it. He doesn't ever take responsibility for his actions.
He can't cope. He has zero coping skills.
None
whatsoever.
And testosterone isn't helping it.
Not at all. And all the drinking he does doesn't help either. All this because I said trans men are trans men. Y'all are out of control. It's honestly disgusting and embarrassing.
Disgusting.
Yeah, embarrassing. Yeah, you're both like near pushing 60 years of age. Yeah.
Now he's picking on our age.
And you get triggered over biological sex discussion. We get triggered?
No.
I mean, I think you all saw who got triggered over anything. It isn't about a disagreement, but how you continue to attack. We're attacking him.
By disagreeing.
By disagreeing. Everything that you guys have read here has not been an attack. So he decides to share this right here. He makes a screen grab, but we're picking on him.
Yeah. And he blocked us before he did this.
Yeah.
And he'll probably continue to do the same thing.
Right. So I said,
if you transition to the opposite sex you were assigned at birth, why would you want to hold on to said biology? That is long gone. Even the birth certificate has been changed. Own your new reality.
And he says, I feel bad for people like this.
No, you don't.
They are so destroyed and delusional as humans. They actually believe changing our birth certificates prove that biological sex change. Who knew a piece of paper did all that work?
We never said that.
He's like,
we never said that.
He's so sarcastic and angering and cutting and, you know, I mean, and I'm the one that had, you know, according to him, I was mean to him and I was what all I was doing was like
projecting because basically Mars has probably not done one thing. He probably haven't even done his driver's license.
Nothing. He probably
has not done anything. And, you know, that is on him. But for him to make fun of people who did do that, and no, I don't believe that changing your birth certificate changes your biological sex. Mars, no. But we do things in transition to transition to the sex that we are by doing these steps. That's how it works, Mars. You still are having to do top surgery. You're working towards it. It's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
When you get there, you will feel different.
Yeah, that's what I tried to say earlier.
No hate about that. No picking on you for not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it costs money.
Yeah. And so he calls us assholes and, you know, he just goes on. And I mean, just because he can't face any challenges.
And yeah, I call him a rad femme because his line of thinking, the things that he is saying are very much echoing what gender critical haters and radical feminists, transgender, exclusionary, radical feminists, TERFs, it's what they say.
Exactly.
They're repeating
and then,
what they say.
Look at this lovely, this is his favorite word, the F-bomb. I've never seen a person F-bomb so much.
And he identifies so much with detransitioners. Like, you know, Blair White's getting all this attention for bringing to the fact that, you know, detransitioners are popping up everywhere. You said it like 5 years ago that this stuff would happen. It's ridiculous. So
let's see here. Who do we have on board? Darcy joins us, and so does Brianna. Hello. A dude called Rowan joined us. Let's see here.
Darcy says, I hate Mars. He's a bully.
He is. And a bad temper, bad mouth, no truth whatsoever. He's going to find himself in trouble, when he confronts somebody who ain't going to put up with his foul mouth.
And Darcy said, Brianna, no, I didn't watch Mars. I unsubbed him after he bullied me when I made the call into his show about a month or so back.
He bullies everybody, and he thinks, he's got his little gang that believes what he believes, rat femmes and gender critical people that follow him. That's it. He's got a whole whopping 500 and something subscribers, and he thinks he knows it all. He hasn't even transitioned, hasn't even been a year, and he thinks he's got a voice. He's just an angry person. That's it. And so Harley joins us here as well, and Harley says, let's see here.
You talked about an inner voice. You remember that? You talked about that?
When? During this thing now that we did with Mars?
Yeah, because Harley was on the other show, and he asked the same question, but we never got to it.
I'm trying to think. Inner voice.
Can you
elaborate? Let's not talk personalities. I struggle being a trans man. When you talked about when you stopped T, I could relate to you after 32 years in T. I still struggle. There's a lot of struggle, and I think a lot of the struggle stems from that kind of language that we're constantly being told. You'll never be a man. You're a woman. My mother put that in my head. People that I know put that in my head. Oh, you're allowed to play dress up, but your biology. And all that kind of, that inner voice kind of gets to you, and it kind of like you question yourself, and you're like, I did all this, but I'm a fake. How many times did I say that? It's like, I feel like an imposter.
Yeah. And I was like, no, it was early on when we first met, and you were saying stuff like that. And I was like, then why the hell did I do this? Why did I do what I did?
And it's because of people like Mars, people like rat femmes, the religious cults that put all that insecurity in our heads. We struggle not because I know who I am. I know who I am now after going to hell and back. But it took a lot of going to hell and back to know who I am. And there's nobody alive who's going to tell me about biology.
Harley says, it is a constant struggle.
It can be. It can be until you release it, until you set yourself free, until you stop listening to the likes of Mars and others that want to bring us down. And that's my point exactly. That's why I will stand up for every single person in the trans community. No one should ever tell you who you are, and no one should use biology as a weapon. Self-care, finally talking about that, there is a struggle. And
Darcy said, Mars is nothing but a masculine female. I don't take him serious as a man.
I don't either.
I totally respect smart ass.
Yeah, but Mars, I just see an angry rad femme woman who wants to run away from something, what it is. That's between him and his therapist. Hopefully he does get some. But
and
I don't see him as a and a lot of anger management.
A lot of anger management.
A lot of anger management. And Brianna says,
I've been on HRT for 1 year. I struggle with introducing my new identity and how far I will go surgery-wise.
But isn't that not because of you, because of what other people have instilled inside of you? That fear of not being seen as the woman that you are. And I will tell you this, Brianna. People don't get to define you. You know who you are deep down, your spirit, that essence of you, that woman that you are. No one can take that away from you. Hold your head up high. It's not about looks. It's not about where you're at, how many surgeries you've had. It's about an inner knowing, tuning out all those negative voices and being proud to be you.
And it's about just being at peace with who you know yourself to be. I mean, Brianna, it is hard. For an MTF, it's very hard. Okay, and the later you transition, the harder it is. And I acknowledge that. I know that. I'm not saying that I figured it all out or anything, but I do know that this is me. this is who I am. This is who I want the world to see. Is Lynna. Anything from the past serves nothing.
No purpose.
It doesn't do anything for me. And it's not about how many surgeries one gets, how beautiful one can be. Whatever it is, beauty fades. It's that inner beauty that shines from within.
When I detransitioned, you know, and I was just trying to be what my mother wanted me to be, I was like, okay, I give up, you know, and I was angry. I was angry at you. I was just, you know, it's just like, all right, I'm not going to be who I am. I'm just going to give it all up. You know, I was miserable. I was miserable. I was like trying to convince myself that I was doing the right thing. And that's why I say to the people that feel that they're going to detransition, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure that you remember the reasons you transition in the first place.
Yeah, don't lose your essence of why you did what you did. I mean, there's a reason for doing this. You're not crazy.
No.
You know, the world may look at you, your mom may look at you, your dad, your parents, you know, your grandfather or grandmother, they may look at you and scowl or look down or want to look away, but you can't let them affect you because you know who you are.
And Darcy says, why doesn't Mars just detransition since he doesn't take himself serious as a man? He doesn't, because if he did, he wouldn't be on this campaign. He said it clearly in the interview we did with him. He was angry. He was angry at the community. So he wanted to do something to put his voice out there, like his voice matters. It's only been a year. You still don't even know who you are, Mars. Deal with your own battle. That anger that you have, you know, it needs to be looked at. You know, it really does. It's hurting you, and it's going to hurt other people by your mouth. You have a vile mouth. Yeah.
So, it was earlier. Harley said, "Mark,
I'm not sure what inner voice
I stopped tea 1 year, and it was traumatic for me.
Oh, that
My
I knew
body,
when I detransitioned. Okay, and I was trying to live as Maritza. There was this inner turmoil. I'm like, this is not who I am. And I was trying to please everybody else. And it was just like, that's when you and I got back together again. And you were fine with me being Maritza.
I just love you.
Yeah. And I was like,
person.
it never felt right, Maritza and Lynna. I just never did. It was just like this play of whatever it was that I was doing to try to, you know, placate, you know, and just kind of
I saw you at the gym and you were like eyeing up guys and going, dang, I had something going on, you know?
I know, and it's just like...
And I was like, dude.
So,
right?
You know, your first inner instinct is your right instinct. I knew day 2003, December 23rd, I had top and I had a histo done at the same time. And when I woke up from that procedure, I was the happiest that I could be. I was in pain, but I was happy because I knew that my life began from that day forward. And it was like this. I mean, look at me. I detransitioned. And
3 months ago.
3 months ago, I transitioned back. And it's like the body just like, it knows. Look, I mean, it's right boom. And I'm 55. So, I mean, this is who I am. Dare anybody say anything different? Dare anybody tell me biology's biology?
And I know for me, when I had my top surgery and I woke up from, you know, my anesthesia, my doctor said that I woke up smiling. So I was thoroughly content with what I had done because I knew, and nobody could tell me any differently. I knew that I was a woman. I knew that this is how I wanted to present myself in life. And, you know, doctors and all these other procedures that one would go through in the future with regards to biology and what natal sex is and all that is absolutely irrelevant to my everyday life.
Irrelevant completely, you know, but they're harping on that because that's all they got. That's why I say he's a rad fam.
That's what I think. Yeah. I mean, maybe not smart ass, but yeah.
Yeah. My body shrunk and so did my brain. I felt like I didn't belong in the men's locker room. I remember the trauma I experienced as a female. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. That detransition, transition, detransition, you're trying to like, and look, I don't regret detransition because it allowed me. It's like I couldn't face a lot of the pain because I had just like sealed it. So when I detransitioned, I opened
it all
up,
and there was boxes out.
I was like, okay, here we go. Childhood traumas, sexual molestation, all the different things just all came, I can't even find the words, but I needed to do what I did to be able to work through the things that were painful. And then when I worked through all that, I was like, now I can be me. Now I could like, here I am, world,
Yeah, you shed that whole skin, that was like serving no purpose for you. It was like holding you back, and you had suppressed it for such a long time. You had put it under and didn't want to deal with it.
Exactly.
Right.
And when I'm seeing it, it's like a lot of the detransitioners, I'm not saying all of them, but they detransition, but they're still, it's like there's a part of them. And I,
there's regret. I mean, I remember when I detransitioned the 2 times, I was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Why did
now I'm back to the same thing that I was struggling with the first time.
Because it doesn't go away. Those struggles do not go away. You pretend that they weren't there. You try to like tell yourself certain things because biology, and it's like, no, they don't go away.
I remember when I was detransitioned the second time back in 2017, my former best friend's house, and his wife looked at me and said, we've been praying that you wouldn't develop any breasts so that when you go back to your family, that you won't be traumatizing them. It was like, you literally were taking time out of your day to pray against my transition.
Crazy.
You were intending to disable me from expressing and being the woman that I am.
That's what they do.
I was just like so like annoyed by that.
So Harley 64, he's been a female for 32 and trans for 32. And are you currently still trans, or did you detransition? And because he says here 2 weeks. And Brianna says, I'm impressed, Harley. You should come on the show. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I want to share your story. That's what we do. I'm with you both. Lynna Mark says, Darcy, and Harley says,
thank you, Darcy. Says, I changed my plumbing 32 years ago. For a while, it was good, but turned bad.
That's there are complications that do take place. That's why I didn't get the bottom surgery. I had the histo and the top surgery, and I'm very content with what I have, with what testosterone has done for me, because of being the progestin-induced virilization. My junk is bigger than most trans guys because of that intersexuality. And, I looked into it, but I saw the complications, and I was, what? I'm good. I'm good. I don't, it's like I'm a man because I feel it inside, and I know bad femmes make fun of the feeling word. But if there's a song, there are songs sung about that. Feel Like a Woman by Joanna Twain. And, it is a feeling. You want to make fun of it, but there is a feeling. I mean, we're humans. We feel, you feel anger, you feel love, you feel the gender or sex that you are inside. It's an essence. It's something that is so easily palpable, to be like demonstrated. And I know that not all men and not all women are alike. We all have different characteristics, but we know who we are. Dare anyone question that? Let's see here.
He says, I found me now. I wish I can get off of tea, but I can't. My body doesn't produce my own hormones.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And being without tea, I know when I was without it, I mean, I couldn't wait to get back on it. And this last time around, I'm not getting any younger. So it's definitely, so is there something that happens to you when you're on tea? If you're more than welcome to call in if you wanted to share, let me see what the number is again.
575-265-0538. Yeah, I just saw it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Oh, where right here. No, here. Right there.
Okay. Let me put this here.
Darcy says, Mars isn't even a big YouTuber yet either, so he has no voice.
He has none. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know.
He has all this authority. And, everybody has a right to speak on YouTube, but you don't have the right to tell people how to live and what to think, and that you're delusional.
Just because he's had a show for a little bit
about biology. He wanted to. He was like, "Oh, I see you're not answering the biology question. I see that you're running away from."
And that's the typical
it's like
rad femme,
please,
discussion.
We were absolutely open to any question that he had. He asked you about what do you consider to be a trans activist and all that. It's like, but our answer wasn't good enough for him.
And so he goes, Mars, Mars is a bully. He's not as smart as he puts himself. He's not. He does not have any smarts. He even has difficulty speaking, getting his point across. He gets very frustrated. He needs to get rid of the anger, that frustration, and then learn how to put his thought process together so he could be intelligible, Totally. I mean, you saw how far he couldn't handle. I mean, it was just like, oh, and then whenever he got caught in a lie or whatever, all he'd do was smile because it's like, ooh, And Marcy Mark joins us. He said nothing of value, just cussing and throwing tantrums. Exactly.
And his audience loved it.
Of course, because
we were the unruly ones.
Yeah.
He was telling.
Because he's got that following. They're the same mentality of people. The peanut gallery, like I call them.
We have Mary joining us. She
Mary.
said, "What are the health effects of long-term testosterone use?"
That it's very dependent on an individual. It's like anything in life. Some people could eat high fatty foods and die at 100 and something. Other people, because of their genetics, they eat high fatty foods and they could end up getting a heart attack or a stroke. There are side effects with every medication that you take. That's obvious by the commercials. Every time they announce a medication, they give you a list a mile long. Testosterone has a list as well of things that could happen. You could get a heart attack, stroke, cancer, all sorts of different things. But it's genetically, how would I say, each person is different. Some people are prone to getting certain things, so testosterone is not recommended. Other people, I've been on T since, 1998 to be exact. Because I was a bodybuilder and I used to take stuff back then. I come off and on for my own mental, I know that I need to maybe let the receptors clear out a little bit, just like bodybuilders cycle off. You need to do that sometimes, and I like it because once you come off and you go back on again, it's like a different boost. It's like the body, because when you're on it for a long time, it almost kind of like stops working. So you like reboot yourself when you do that. So what are health effects? It's different for everybody. Some people, nothing happens. Other people could get heart attacks, strokes, cancer. But that's like the drug, those
drug commercials. The big pharma commercials that show up on your TV and they talk about all the different side effects. It's the same kind of thing.
You can take an aspirin and get a stomach bleed and die. I mean, it's like, but you got to do what makes you happy. And I've always said, be careful. If you're going to be on tea, don't be a drinker. If you're going to be an alcoholic and take tea, you're setting yourself up for disaster because you will get a stroke or a heart attack quicker. Eat right, exercise, manage your anger. All that anger, that's a stroke waiting to happen.
That is high blood pressure.
Yeah, totally. And Darcy says, Marcy, he's not an intellectual. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so involved in his fallacies and delusions. Yet he claims that all of us that lead our life as a man and woman that we know we are the ones that are delusional. He's definitely no Blair White, that's for sure.
Marcy said, I see exactly what you were saying, Mark and Lynna, about Mars fueling the fire for non-trans people trying to learn about it.
Yeah.
People like Mars are toxic.
Very toxic. But he doesn't see it. He doesn't see it at all. And shamefully that Smartass is his partner in crime. And I think Smartass has a good head on his shoulder. And I think he could do better. He really could do much better.
Definitely. I was very impressed with Smartass. And he was completely respectful.
I would, if I was Smartass, I would like totally just cut away because, it's not a good place to be. And Darcy said, yeah, Mars can't articulate his points very well. No, not at all. He knows how to cuss well, though.
He likes to spin things.
Yeah.
And he likes to feel like we're the ones attacking him. And, there were times when Smartass actually told him, no, that's not what they're saying. You're reading into it. Basically, he reads into things.
Yeah.
And, just because Mark said that he sees a little bit of himself in Mars doesn't mean that that's all he sees.
Exactly.
He just sees certain tendencies, certain characteristics. So Mars, if you're watching this, we do not think that you're anything like Mark. You never will be. You're your own individual, obviously. But what we did see was some of the things that you were saying,
that I
the
used to
tone
say.
was the same that you used to use.
Yeah, when I had all the anger issues, when I had all the stuff that got me to where, all the trouble that I got myself into. And I was just like, as a fellow trans person wanting to like, hey, warning, just because of that,
And you know what? He never apologized. As Darcy says, Mars take no responsibility. That's a child, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He takes no responsibility for saying that we are delusional.
Yeah.
He takes no responsibility for calling us out, and saying rude things. And he takes no responsibility for the fact that we are so much older than him and that we deserve a certain amount of respect. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up in a world where you respected those that were 20 to 30 years older than you.
Of course.
I mean, you gave them the honor that they were due because they were older than you, And it's like, it seems like in this age of entitlement that kids don't have that motor in them to respect.
Right. They don't.
They
don't have any respect
it's really
at all.
sad.
And RP's asking us a political question. What do we think of the backlash against Joe Rogan and his endorsement of Bernie Sanders?
We're not political.
I try to stay away.
Same party, same bird.
Yeah, it's we're living in a crazy world, and they pit us against each other. And like Joe Rogan, he's a pretty funny, cool interviewer. He's had a lot of good guests on his show. Bernie Sanders, I believe that any candidate is actually going to do anything. I mean, of course, Democrats are better for us in the LGBT community. There's no doubt. But it all depends who's paying the bill and how they, it's just.
Things aren't as we would think they would be. And that's when we get all conspiracy on you guys. And some of you like it, some of you don't and stuff. But we try to stay away from politics. We haven't watched one debate.
Wow, they say that the HRC called him a transphobe. I didn't know that. Wow.
Called who?
The HRC called him a transphobe. Called Joe Rogan a transphobe or Bernie Sanders? I think that, what's that, the woman of color, trans woman who is friends with me, I forgot her name. And Angelo Ross, yes.
She tweeted something?
Something, and Bernie Sanders' camp was not very receptive towards trans people.
I mean, we're
or something
talking
like
about
that.
An older American. That generation doesn't really respect trans identity at all. I mean, how old is Bernie Sanders? Like 70 something? I mean, he just had some kind of heart surgery or something. I don't know, but I think that, future leaders should actually be capable of being healthy. I mean, we have people in office that are healthy.
Yeah.
And it's,
I think I liked when Obama, because he was younger, people related with him more than some ancient,
He had concerts in the White House.
Yeah,
he was like the cool president.
He was.
I mean, president. Obviously, there's things that we don't know. And
of course.
Everybody has their own dark secrets and stuff. But boy, those times.
Yeah, they were great. They were good for us in the trans community. We see you, and they were, he did a lot of great things, which now.
They're working
to take it away, and people like Mars are helping with that.
Their best.
Bad move, Mars. So anyway, we just wanted to continue since we were abruptly.
Yeah, we were just cut.
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Will not speak anymore, all because we were trying to, look. We know why you're doing what you're doing. You're not angry. Okay with yourself.
You're mad.
You still struggle with telling your family or confronting things. I get it.
He's like, oh, they went all personal. It's like,
but
he has like the skin of like a grape.
I know.
He has no backbone to just go, you know what? The reason that I didn't go home was because of this. He can't talk about his own personal experience because he is a non-confrontational person.
No, you can't.
He only likes to be on the keyboard and warrior away after having a few swigs.
And have his peanut gallery. People that agree with him. If you disagree with him, he blocks you. He can't deal with a conversation. And I showed you guys what the whole thing was on Twitter. You know, and it's like, dude, it's not cool. You know, I didn't name call him. I didn't do anything, but you know, you guys saw how he behaved.
So, you know, this whole started, like, we were even on his show because he started, his friends started calling us out and stuff and saying that we didn't have any backbone and that we were backing away from a interview or from meeting up online and stuff and having a debate and stuff. And, you know, I said, we're not afraid. We're going to do whatever. I mean, we'll talk.
Yeah.
It's no big deal for us. We have nothing to hide.
Nothing.
There's nothing for us to hide. We wanted to share our views, our opinions. And instead of just letting smartass basically direct this whole thing, Mara steps in and starts the accusations flying as if he did nothing, but yet he acknowledges that he was the one that instigated. You know, he's like, yeah, I know I did it.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're talking about. You know, you're going off topic. He would always tell us, we're going off topic. That's what he would accuse us of. And it's like, we're just expressing,
because he doesn't like to be challenged. He doesn't like to lose. You know, that's the problem.
He doesn't like to look bad, you know, and you know, he just has his own little niche of what he wants to say. Exactly. And everybody be damned if, you know, he can't speak.
It's pretty sad. But
when you start a channel based on anger issues,
it tells you everything.
That kind of.
When I started Transition Radio, I started it to showcase trans people, how wonderful they were.
And we were saying, you know, why don't we talk about the good things?
Yeah.
Well, if we don't talk about the bad people,
then, it's like people are going to say, look, these people are talking about it. It's like, so does every group of people sit there and talk bad about their group of people? Because if they don't talk about it, they're going to think that's so like really lame.
I know. It's like, why not?
So all the Hispanics, if we don't sit there and talk about all the Hispanics that rob liquor stores, we're bad.
We're still hubcaps.
And it's like, come on now, people.
It's like, you know, those people that are in those jails and stuff, there's very few and far between. And, you know, jails have a way of taking care of situations.
I know.
Jails have a way of taking care of people.
They do.
You know, that do those kinds of things.
They do.
And they have their own little hierarchical system that they all work on.
Exactly.
So I think trans women have a lot to fear if they are molesters in a jail.
Of course. You know, and half the time these people aren't even trans. They're using that. And then, of course, the rat films use those people and say, see, trans women are pedophiles. Trans women are this, you know, and it's like, no.
And it's like, you know, you want to be honest with people, like in the sense of like telling them about your past. And I remember you would tell me, you know, I mean, it always happens. I always like say I'm a trans man. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you do that, what happens?
It's just you get a totally different look. People just, you feel it. It's not the same.
You feel like you don't exist anymore in their world.
Yeah.
And they look at you
differently.
And they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they fooled me.
Yeah.
I can't believe I believed that they were a man when I'm talking to a woman.
Yeah.
This can
because
happen.
that's what happens. You know, so that's why, you know.
So we want trans exposure. Yet when we do expose the truth about our past, it serves nothing but to make people freak out and think of us even worse.
Yeah, and as Darcy says here, I sometimes will go on other YouTube streams just to watch and chat. And people that know I'm an FTM, I get called the confused woman and basically bullied for it. I don't see no difference with Mars. Exactly. Exactly. That's why sometimes the less people know, the better. And, you know, I'm not advocating for everyone to go stealth. That's on you. You got to live your life and you got to feel comfortable with who you are. But after all these years, like where we live now, we don't tell anybody. Nobody. And that we're going to keep it that way. You know, if somebody finds out, oh, well. But it's not something that I'm going to disclose like I used to because it's really nobody's business.
Oh, by the way, we're trans.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't help anything, you know? I mean, it can actually serve to be a detriment, you know?
Yeah. And Marcy Mark says, I'm trying to learn. Go ahead.
More about transition so I can be a better support to my brothers and sisters. These talks are very important, and Mars brings negative views on the subject.
Totally. I mean, who wants to hear the negativity? Who wants to hear the dirty laundry being aired? It's like you're airing your dirty laundry of your family, telling people how bad your cousins are because they robbed a bank. Who wants to hear that? We need to bring each other up. We need to, like, you know, support one another.
Isn't that what you used to do on, you know, transition radio?
Yeah,
show? You would interview
all sorts
trans
of people from all over the world, artists, painters,
showcase them,
comedians. Yeah, show people, hey, we're okay, we're normal, man. We just have lives like everybody else.
The thing is, though, if you do that and you share that with regular society, they're still going to think you're a freak.
Yeah.
You know, so why showcase it? Why not just live?
Yeah.
And let live.
Yeah, like look at TLC's I Am Jazz. I feel really bad. Really bad. First of all, I said a lot of hurtful things, and you know, I am so sorry for everything that I've ever said. But can you imagine? They've exposed themselves, their entire family. They have to be careful because there's a lot of creepy people out there, you know, that
when they got threats. Remember,
threats
Jazz
and all sorts of stuff.
On
so
the phone when
you know,
she was in high school.
The more you think, the more we educate, the better it is. But I find that it's kind of like backfire. The more we educate, the more pushback we get. Because now people are like the show we had yesterday. They're saying they're pushing back. They're not putting up with this stuff. Well, people like Mars are feeding into that negativity. They're giving the enemy ammunition. We need to stop that. We really do. Because
and it's really not about getting the world to accept trans anything.
Yeah.
It's just getting you to accept who you are.
Exactly.
And live your best life.
That's the best thing you can do.
That's the best thing that one can do. I mean, trans acceptance, whether it comes or not, will happen in time. It's like, if it's going to change in society, then you'll see it change. You know, a newer generation will come along and there will be this other type of acceptance, you know. But here we are in 2020 and racism is still alive and well.
Very much so.
It hasn't died down with generations. Mm-hmm. So who's to think that trans acceptance is going to be a thing in the future? You know, I mean, we don't know.
We don't know if it's going to backfire. We don't know, you know, what it's going to do. And Darcy says,
on a Jazz Jennings episode, we watched it back in 2016. She was threatened to death over the phone by a caller on the episode.
Exactly.
Crazy world.
Yeah.
They think we're mentally ill, but yet they're mentally ill enough to want to harm and kill us.
Exactly. So imagine what Morris is doing, is just providing bullets for that gun, you know, and it's wrong. It's wrong. But I think he'll eventually get it. I think if he does manage to get top surgery, if he does manage to change his paperwork, because right now I'm sure everything reads female, and he struggles with that, and because everything still reads female, he has to, like,
if I can't do it, no.
Yeah, or he's got to justify something. He's got to, like, live with himself, you know, and I don't know.
Yeah, Harley says, on my generation, we just did it.
Yeah.
And we didn't demand anything.
Same here. You know, I was on a talk show host for a while because I had producers coming at me, asking me, because there was hardly nothing. I did seminars to train the healthcare providers.
Mars didn't care about that.
Of course not. He doesn't want to
know about the history. You can look it up.
Right. So, yeah, but nowadays it's just, and that's what's created all this infighting, and that's because there's nothing to fight for. You know, that's what's happened. Back in the day, and I'm sure, I don't know how old Marcy is, but back in the day, the gay community, we stuck to, but earlier, Marcy says, She said something yesterday, I think it was,
Oh.
about the community being tight knit.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't fight amongst each other because we had enough to fight against society. Well, now that there's all these rights and everybody's kind of like, it's a different world. So there's a lot of infighting.
Yeah.
They don't realize that this infighting it's like people are looking at us and going, God, these people are dysfunctional.
Well, you know what? I would talk to older generation trans, and we're talking like people in their 70s and stuff.
Yeah.
And they said that if they transition and it was not done stealthily, then they could be literally killed.
Exactly.
They transitioned to become the women that they are today,
or the man that they wanted to become.
Right, but the ones that I spoke to,
yeah.
I mean, I can't really, speak for an FTM.
Oh, I know a friend of mine who transitioned when he was 18, and nobody knew. No, because and he's like around my age now, but he transitioned back when he was 18.
Yeah.
So all his life, and it was like this whole coming out with people. He's like, no, nobody knew.
And the worst thing that happened, and we saw it with these older trans people, is that when they were found out, their career ended. Carolyn Causey lost her career. She was in Hollywood. There was another woman who was like a Clairol ad lady, and she was exposed as being trans, and she lost her carear.
Of course.
What purpose would it serve these women to reveal that they were trans?
Exactly.
How would that help them to like wave some purple and blue or whatever the flag color is?
And my biology is.
Yeah.
It's like
it would just make the freak. That's what Jeff Doherty says. Let your freak flag fly.
Yeah.
But just don't fly in front of my face.
Yeah.
And that's what, if people like them didn't know the difference, then they wouldn't attack and they wouldn't try to push back.
Yeah. And Sarah joins us, and
hi, Sarah.
She says,
it has been a long time.
It's like that saying, the pendulum always swings back. Yeah, it's pretty sad because seeing everything that we have done as a community, while President Obama was here, we had it great. And it's scary. It's scary what's trying to take place now. And, the 7-year-old custody battle hasn't helped any. It was just a dirty custody battle between a transgender girl. The parents were fighting.
In Texas.
And I think also in Texas. Yeah, I think the one in Texas. I think there have been several. But this has actually, prompted all this animosity. And it's really sad because it had nothing to do with the child, but all to do with the parents' discourse, and
it's an ego battle.
It is. And like I said, people like Mars adding fuel to that fire. You're just adding log, making it hotter and hotter.
And he's like, you guys keep on harping about radical feminists and Christian extremists. And it's like, yeah, we are, because that's who you're feeding.
Yeah, and
we know giving them what they want.
We know, been there, done that. We've got the T-shirt to prove it.
And I mentioned that we were speaking during a Women's Liberation Front event and stuff, and he's like, yeah, I don't really care about that. We're not interested in history and all. It's like, we're trying to explain to you that we were in their camp. They even called me a sister. They were giving me my pronouns, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Just because we were saying what they wanted to hear. Yeah. And when we stopped saying it, well, they stopped.
Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, at least, we got to speak our mind, or barely, because you just, very controlling too.
Very
angry and controlling.
I mean, I don't know how anybody could have looked at that podcast and have seen someone
go right there, Darcy. That's the interview because we had been battling on Twitter, and we decided to take it on YouTube, and it didn't end very well. He cut us off because you'll go ahead and watch it and then give us feedback. Send us an email, transitionradioshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's just important to realize that there are men, trans men that transition, that literally they pave the way for people like Mars to even be able to live his life right now. If it wasn't for Mark and others like him, Mars would never be able to do what he's doing.
No.
So I mean, it's like a total slap in the face for him to, like, you know, use F-bombs with us and to, you know, just be disrespectful and to call older people delusional. I mean, I'm turning 50 next week, and you know, you're 55.
You're like, wait a minute, next month you're
next
back
week, and you're 55. It's my last fleeting moments at 49, and you know, you would think that
some respect.
There's some respect from, you know, being able to live this long, right? Over half a century, right? 100 plus combined, right? A century of experience, you know. But
anyway, we rambled on enough. Got a shower. And, thank you guys for tuning in. There's a link if you guys want to watch it. You know, it's all my beef. All my beef with him was like, dude, stop doing what you're doing. Don't be so critical. I'm not telling him what to do, but you know, just kind of like find a hobby, find something better that's not going to be so destructive. You know, I did a lot of destruction, and gosh, like I said, I can't apologize enough. But I had turmoil, and that's what I was trying to point out to him. He doesn't want to see it. He can't face his demons. Until you face your demons, you will not be able to resolve the inner work that needs to be done. So
that was nice, Darcy. Thank you.
Yeah, she does. I mean, we don't even get a second, you know, nothing. We just live our lives as a normal couple. That's it.
And that's what I've always wanted. You know, ever since when Mark and I first met, I had so much resentment. You know, I had so much that I was dealing with because I knew how far behind I was from him. He passes so well and has always. And that's a common thing for an FTM, and for a late transitioning trans woman, it's very difficult. You know, it really is. And that was one of the things that really was a hang up for me. You know, I was like still wearing wigs because I was so not confident about my own hair. I was so worried about my presentation. And, you know, it was a battle.
A lot of problems in our relationship because she resented me that I passed so well. And, you know, there was just this constant. And I was like, why are you fussing so much? Let's go out. I don't want to have to wait for an hour to go out. And I was fussing. And I had to deal with that same thing with Jessica. And Jessica was also a brand new transitioner. So all that stuff kind of like really played with my head. And it's like, I felt guilty in a sense that, okay, so I have these passing privilege and I'm seeing the struggle, and it didn't help our relationship at all.
No, it didn't. I'm 5'10", but you know,
and I'm a short little.
It is. I can't do anything about it, so I don't even think about it.
We don't let it bother us anymore. It's like it's not even a. But before it was like, please don't wear high heels.
And I don't usually. I don't, but you know, it's one of those things where, you know, it was very difficult because I was still in stages of my transition where I was trying to be comfortable, you know, in my appearance and everything. And after my accident, I just had a hair transplant. So my hair looked really wonky, weird. And I was just a messed up individual.
And that never made you feel any less than. On the contrary, I wanted you to feel comfortable and be natural, and because, you know, and then that was like the struggle that we had a lot.
But that was the struggle because I was also that you didn't like me wearing wigs, but I knew that it was a part of my transition that I had to wear because I couldn't wear my own hair. It was, I mean, this only recently in October was I able to even feel comfortable having my own hair.
So there's another compliment from Darcy. Lynna, estrogen has worked amazing on you. Your skin is feminine as well as your face. Estrogen feminized the face. It did. It has done wonders for her, and I see massive difference. And when she got her breast augmentation, that took her to another level.
It did.
And so our relationship, needless to say, it's amazing now. You know, we don't struggle like we used to before, and that's because we were both in a better place and found peace. You know, and no longer is trans a thing for us. You know, like I said, we won't hide it, you know, if somebody asked us, but it's not something that we It's not in the forefront, and biology is not something. It's like, I don't think about my biology. Why should I think about my biology? I don't. I live as a man. You know, that's it.
Yeah, we're not planning on having kids or anything, and we're not interested. We're too old.
I know.
And we're just happy just being able to be a regular couple.
Exactly.
You know, we love each other, and that's really all that matters.
And Marcy says,
I don't want to read.
Okay, exactly. I see a beautiful woman when I see Lynna, and a handsome man when I see Mark. Thank you. I see a man and a woman. I wouldn't even know if you both weren't open, nor would I care. I don't know why people get bent out of shape
for being trans.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's because males in society have a real issue with trans.
Right. And even our own have an issue with trans, that they have to constantly, you know, point out things that don't need to be pointed out. So, but hopefully people work through all their challenges, all their anger. You know, I don't hate Mars, and I wish him well, and I wish he finally is able to confront his demons and deal with that pain, because I know that pain. I know those struggles, you know, and I know that him and I are not anything alike. There's just that little anger, that little wanting to like rebel at whoever it was that did him wrong when he first was in those groups, that created what we see today. And that doesn't solve anything. And you can take it with a grain of salt, or you can take it from somebody who's been there and done that. And that's all I was trying to say. But he's got this like, don't tell me what to do.
I know. And
I could say what I want.
Didn't like you were part of some of those groups, and you were offended by some of those.
Yeah, because yeah, exactly.
The trans women that were telling you what to think and how to behave and stuff.
Exactly.
So,
That's so it's like, wow, that reminds me of young Mark when Mark first transitioned.
I don't know what happened here. My computer kind of. I think it's my computer. More than anything else. Yeah, it's like stuck. It's just stuck. Like I can't even move my arrow very well. Look, it's 7%. It's just freaking out.
All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's see. Marcia says, I agree too. I wouldn't know that Lynna or Margot's trans if they had not told me. Well, thank you. Thank you guys.
It's nice to know. I mean, it's taken a while to feel comfortable. Yeah. I mean, you've lived it for a long time, but it's like, for me, it was always a struggle. Yeah. But it's great. It's great to be at this place in our lives and to be accepting of who we are and to be comfortable being who we are. And that is just, isn't that all we want?
That's it.
I mean, I don't want to wave a trans flag. I'm not looking to, you know, get my rights in the bathroom or anything like that.
Looking to live.
Looking to live.
And that is the best thing that we could do. Once you transition, once you did what you needed to do to make yourself feel comfortable, just live. Be an outstanding citizen. Lead by example. Love yourself, love others, and be happy. That is the way we win this war, by being happy and living, not by waving a rad fem flag and pointing out the mistakes that people make or calling people delusional. That doesn't solve anything. Take it from somebody who messed up big time and now regrets it. All right, guys, that's it. We love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. Have a good one.